Okay, we're gonna get started in just a second. I'm gonna let a few more people go in. I was gonna do this pre-recorded then edit, but honestly, I don't really feel like it because I have a bunch of stuff to edit and I have not gotten around to it. And chances are, with how crazy my daily life is right now, if I were to pre-record this, it's never gonna get edited until after we need to talk about these kind of things. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a stream on this and we'll go from there. So. I just want to grab a something to fix real fast, and while I'm doing that, then we'll get started right away. I want a few more people to get in here. We have 7 here, um, and we'll go from there. So I'll be right back, and please tell me if the audio is okay. I just moved my audio equipment over here. There's something wrong with the motherboard in my computer. It will not recognize the audio interface properly, but I got it working. It would like half the USB port stopped working on this thing. So anyway, if there's any issues with the audio, let me know please so I can correct it. I will be right back. So we'll be right back in a second and we will talk about everything we need to talk about. All right. So, this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. In 2020, I had a lead on a new location in Studio City, California. If you don't know where I am now, I'm in Palmdale. So Palmdale is it's like a suburb of the greater Los Angeles area. It's separated by mountains. It's about an hour away from Los Angeles. So in 2020, the start of 2020, I made a Facebook post saying, you know what, I want something more than this. So I've been in the store since 2017, 2018, one of the two. 2020, I made a Facebook post saying, you know what, by the end of this year, I want to move to a better area for more retail traffic. And then COVID hit, and those plans are not the door. I'm just going to stay here. Then one of my best customers and friend was closing his store, and I had the opportunity to take over the lease and start a new store over in Studio City, which was going well. And then I got the copy of the lease, and basically the landlord was crazy. The amount of stuff in that lease was insanity. Basically, I would be responsible for everything as far as building maintenance. There was a clause. I wouldn't be responsible for just the structure on my suite. I would be responsible for the whole building. There was so much like that. Clauses on sewer lines. I'd be responsible for sewer lines for the building, and none of the clauses made it exclusive to my suite. It was the entire building, and there was also a clause that the landlord can move you at any time to not just another suite in that building, anywhere of his other properties. No, absolutely not. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to sign that. So at that point, I had one side of this office that I have now. So I was around 600 square feet. You know what? I need more space. The neighbors next door moved out. So we knocked down a wall. I got 2 offices now, so in the same building, which was fine. It worked fine. But that overall did not solve the root problem. So the median income in Palmdale, Lancaster area, it's not good. It's not a rich area by any means. I had issues getting people to pay in 2020. I had issues getting people to pay in 2018. People just generally don't want to pay for anything expensive on their laptops. It was manageable before. You could make use with it and whatever. People would still drop off enough stuff. 2021 that started getting worse, 2022 that started getting even worse, and then now it's like Luckily, I have mail-in because there's no way that a business can survive off of what walk-ins I get here alone, because no one wants to pay. Like a screen replacement on an A1708 or any kind of Mac screen replacement, that will almost never. Like the last screen replacement I've done here is probably, as far as a local walk-in customer, it's been probably 4 months since I've gotten someone to drop off a screen replacement. Now, my prices are reasonable. I do price of the part plus $175. That is more than reasonable, and I am way cheaper than a lot of other shops, yet the same thing happens every time. Someone will walk in, oh, that's too expensive. I might as well just go buy a new one. Every single time with anything like that. Same thing with motherboard repair. Whenever there's a liquid damaged device, what we do at the counter, we tear it down. We take the board out, inspect it, just to see what's going on and diagnose it. A majority of the time when I do that at the counter, here, from a local customer, tear down the device, take the board out, inspect it, give them a quote. This is going to be logic board repair, especially on the new 2021. This even happens on the 2021s. You know, the 2021 14 and 16 inches. You'd expect someone that just bought a $2,000 computer to be happy about a $400 repair quote for motherboard repair. Nope. All the time, we have to put it back together, and they go on their way. Now, around here, there are a few shops that are not good at what they do, but they're cheap. They're very, very cheap. So what will often happen is after they decline a quote here, they'll bring it to another one of those shops. Those other shops will destroy the board, then they come back, and now it's not fixable. And that happens a lot, and I'm done dealing with it. It's getting old. Like I get a lot of mail-in. I get a lot of stuff from other repair companies, data recovery companies and stuff. So my business is fine. I get plenty of work in. But I feel like I am so limited, or limiting my potential being here, when almost everything is declined quotes because too expensive, when in reality these prices are more than reasonable, a whole lot cheaper than what you get at Apple, a whole lot cheaper than what you get at most other repair shops even. So I just feel very limited in that fashion. Second, crime rate. This local area where the store is has gotten pretty bad. It was not like this when I moved in. It wasn't like this in 2020. It started getting progressively worse 2021, 2022, and then now it's pretty bad. The building gets tagged with some pretty well-known gangs. All their stuff. You'll see one that'll tag it, then it'll get crossed out or whatever. It's getting bad, and I don't want to be in an area with high crime. Period. It's just not anything I want to deal with. I've dealt with it enough. I don't want to deal with it. I'm sick of, driving up to work and seeing the building all tagged up, and frankly, it's embarrassing. Like, this is what customers see when they walk in, when they drive in. Come on, and I'm just done dealing with it. I had something. Now, this is something that is pretty interesting. One day, my employee came in, and I forgot to disarm the alarm. The alarm went off. The alarm company called the police and said, they have a potential break-in, whatever. They didn't even show up. Okay, they did not show up. Anything where I have to call for anyone in the parking lot doing anything suspicious, if I call, they don't show up. They won't show up. Even for the alarm system, they're supposed to show up at least sometime in the future. They never did. So that's another thing. It's kind of like it's a lost cause type thing. There's so much that they can't do anymore, so they don't even bother. But yeah, that's Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department for you. But not saying it's like that everywhere, but in this area, it's very hard to get a response for any kind of suspicious activity. Hang on, I'm going to go to chat real fast. Malls said that's exactly why no fix, no fee is unfortunately not viable anymore. Frustrating, the customer has to suffer because of stupid people not respecting their limits. I think no fix, no fee is viable, but not in this area. Not in this area. It's not viable at all. Okay, so that's why I'm moving. Out of all the issues, the main one being the fact that it's too hard to get people to pay here. So that's why. And another thing is the customers are not very friendly, to say the least. It's something, I don't know why it's the case, but I don't know if it's just because people are miserable living here or what the problem is. But people are not very friendly. Just on the phone here, they're pushy. On the customers that do approve repairs, they often sit for several weeks just waiting for pickup. That's something that's very common as well. I would say it's more common than not that something sits for a long time versus promptly picked up. So yeah, that's another issue. But I think that goes down to the repair being more than what they can pay for, which it should be. If you're buying an expensive device, you should take into account that, can I afford to fix this if it breaks? Because if you buy a $2,000 MacBook and something breaks on it, you need to understand that is not going to be $20 to fix. If you buy an expensive MacBook, a $2,000 MacBook, count on at least a $500. Just think at least $500 if something breaks. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but you need to be prepared. Repair is not cheap, especially on a device like this. Anyway, going on. So where am I moving to? I am moving to Murrieta, California. So Murrieta is in Riverside County. It is going to be situated right between Los Angeles and San Diego. I would say probably a good portion of the walk-in customers that I do get actually drive up from LA or San Diego, one of the two. So Murrieta puts me in a really good area between both Los Angeles and San Diego, where the bulk of the work comes, and the local area is the median income is pretty high. It's a very clean area. The crime rates in Murrieta are exceptionally low. It was ranked the third safest city in the nation. And that's pretty nice. Like, you don't see graffiti around there. You don't see what you see here. There was like a homeless count thing. Now, I'm not saying I have anything against homeless people, anything like that, but it gets kind of old when they break into the bathrooms here and make a mess, and I have to use those bathrooms, and my employees have to use those bathrooms, etc. Anyway, the homeless count in this area that I'm in, Palmdale, Lancaster, was like 4,500. So 4,500 homeless people. In Murrieta, the homeless count was 12 on the street and like 100 something in shelters. And that's a population of 110,000 people. That is pretty darn good. So that is a lot better. And the new location that I got is 2.3 miles away from the Apple Store. It's about 4 minutes from the Apple Store. It is 0.1 miles, a tenth of a mile away from the FedEx Express hub. So that, at the end of the day, where packages can be dropped off that miss pickup. Sometimes stuff gets out after pickup happens, whatever. We use UPS primarily right now, but FedEx will be added onto that as well. But being close to a FedEx location is great. Either FedEx or UPS, anywhere that has extended express drop-off for critical stuff, absolutely. That is great. So that's where I'm moving. I'm going to pull up Google Maps right here, just to show everyone kind of what the situation is and where I'm moving. So currently the new shop is officially happening. The lease is all signed. It's under renovation right now. We're working on it. And I'm thinking probably mid-February it'll be open down there. I'm still waiting on some paperwork and everything, and I still have to have the floors resurfaced, cleaned, baseboards put in, and then we're pretty much ready. Okay. So let's go here. I really, really, really don't like having multiple, I don't like not having multiple monitors. So right now I only have one monitor, but, here goes nothing. Excuse the kind of poor formatting on this. Here we go. Okay. So right now, here's Palmdale. My store sits somewhere, let's see here. We're right here. So, yeah, right here. So we're in this office park or this business park, and it is kind of hard to find, but whatever. I would not want to be on the street in this area of Palmdale, because you're probably going to get robbed. I'm not kidding. I don't want to be a MacBook repair store on the street in this town because, frankly, someone is probably going to come in with a gun and, yeah, not good. So here's where I am now. You can see the overall population density here. You know, there's a good amount of houses, but it's kind of scarce a little bit. So where I'm moving is going to be over here, Temecula, Murrieta, so right at the border of both cities right there. So this is in good proximity to San Diego, and it's good proximity to Los Angeles. So all those mail-in customers that would drive up can now kind of meet in the middle, and it's not that long of a drive without traffic. So the new store is going to be right here, right on the main road right here. It's in the more of like the business type area, but it's going to be right here, and 26844 Adams Ave is the address. It is going to be dead ahead from when you drive in. So when you drive, you know, the driveway right here, it is going to be the suite directly right here, right in front of the driveway there. Now, it's a little bit, okay, so here's the thing. I don't know if the new place just looks bigger because it's empty. They're both around the same size, but the new one seems bigger. I don't know. It's probably just because it's empty, but they're around the same size. Now, let's go ahead and also, it's important to note that there is no Apple store for around 60 miles from where I am now because, frankly, Apple's not going to put anything in an area that no one's going to buy anything. But anyway, 2.3 miles from the Apple store. It's a short drive. Right now is rush hour, so it's going to have traffic right now, but normally it's around 4 minutes, around a 4-minute drive to my store. And the FedEx location is right here, which is, you know, very good. This isn't like a FedEx office. It's the actual FedEx Express hub. So that's pretty decent. I will have more pictures of the new store coming, but yeah, that's what's going on. I've honestly, this was something that I probably should have moved sooner than this. I think this was drawn out too much, to be honest, but it is what it is. But we're moving, and that is that. So this, we're going to draw a line. So it's live in Salton City should be, yeah, but the thing is, I don't need cheap. I don't want cheap. I don't have to have cheap. At least people will be able to see you there, even if they do not see the service that day. They will realize the repair store is in the area. That's a very good point. Had a buddy across the parking lot from Apple was killing it for years. Yeah, that's the thing. Being in close proximity to Apple is very good. You know, in an area that somebody drives, as long as you're in the same city, you're fine. It's a destination-based business. It's, you know, you're still going to get a ton of work. Anyway, we're going to draw a line here. That's what's going on. I did try telling a couple local customers that walked in. And just put it this way, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore because they got a little irate, the fact that I'm moving, and I don't want to deal with that crap. So yeah, we're probably not going to, we're just going to have a sign that says we're moving. So, yeah, is what it is. Anyway, we're going to draw a line here. So if you just want to know the announcement, you could stop watching. We're good to go. We're going to fix the 1708. I don't know what's wrong with it. We're going to see. And then I'm going to go home and take care of a pug. So let's just get my microscope on. It's going to be... So yeah, so I have to talk about this a little bit. So this building has carpet. I hate carpet with a passion. I think it is the most disgusting thing in the world. It attracts dirt, it attracts germs. It's gross. I hate carpet. Well, I was never able to pull up the carpet here and put flooring. I had the option of laying flooring on top of the carpet, but I don't want to do that. It's going to turn out terrible. The new location, I'm getting what I always wanted. In a repair shop, when I started this, I always wanted bare coated concrete floors. I don't want hardwood floors. I don't want vinyl plank. I want clean coated clean coated concrete floors. I think in a shop like that, I think they're absolutely beautiful. I think they're perfect. So I'm getting that. The current building had carpet too, but luckily we're able to rip that all up. We ripped it all up. We're got all the glue up. Going to resurface it probably this weekend, and then baseboards, have it cleaned and done. Yeah, so there's that. But the way this place is going to be set up is going to be really, really nice. The layout is going to be really nice. We're going to have more area to do thermal paste stuff. Right now we're working with iFixit, and iFixit is going to be most likely carrying carbon black, which is amazing. But we're going to have a full lab there to develop thermal paste and flux. So the flux has gone through a few revisions, and we are getting very, very close to a release. I'm not going to release something that I think isn't good, and it's taken a while for flux. So the first revisions of the flux started out like this, a really dark color, okay, and we're getting closer to what you'd normally see in a no clean flux. So yeah, we're getting there. It's taken time, but is what it is. All right, so carrying on, we have a 1708. Let me get this thing working. I don't know why this is happening, but let's see. Just gonna reboot the camera. Why? There we go. Okay. Is this right? Yep, looks right. Okay. So, this says it has no video, which 1708 is probably going to be no backlight. Or dead CPU. That's another thing we're doing. We're swapping CPUs now. There's going to be a different pricing structure coming out very soon. But basically, hang on one second. There we go. So, yeah, so the CPU jobs are not that time consuming, and they're not that expensive because we have plenty of them on donors. I was very weary about pulling a CPU off donor boards, but I've done enough testing now that I'm confident in donor board pulled CPUs. They're very reliable, and they do a good job if you take them off and reball them properly. You cannot use a lot of heat with them. I don't go over 240 to remove them, and putting them back on like 225 at the most, and they're fine. Okay. Let's see. These screens are so hard to see if you have backlight or not. They're really, really, it's hard to tell if you have backlight or image. So let's see. This is no backlight, not no image. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to hold the power button, and let's see. Yes, I can swap a CPU. We swap CPUs often now. It takes around 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so the first thing I did was check and see if I have backlight with the lid like this. I do not. So it's probably not FlexScape. So we're going to take the bottom case off, and maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll just have a blown capacitor or something. That would be really nice. All for getting... Okay, another big change. This is something that, again, I've thought about. No, so it depends, Tony. You do have to clean the ME region on the BIOS, but otherwise they work just fine. So here's something I realized. If I don't solve a board in an hour, the chances of that board getting fixed is very slim to almost nothing. So a lot of times, especially with data recovery cases, I try and try and try and try. And the main thing is I need a diagnosis. It'll just bug me and I'll go for way too long on a case because I simply need a diagnosis. I need to know what is wrong with it so I can learn. But the point is, if I don't have a diagnosis in an hour, if I don't know what's wrong with it, or at least an idea of what's wrong with it within an hour, that board is probably not getting fixed. So I'm going to time myself more and prevent stuff from staying here too long for reasons like that, just because the chances of it being fixed when it's at that point is pretty slim. So I'm just looking. I don't think this has FlexGate. With power unplugged, the first thing I'm going to do is check for short and backlight output, which is a common fault across many MacBooks. I mean, it's just something that happens. Alright, I have 58 ohms to ground. Now, backlight handles a lot of voltage. Backlight handles, this line handles 48 volts, and what happens when there's a load on it, it pulls that down to like 25 or, no, these are a little bit more than that, in the 30s, I believe. So 58 ohms is not okay for that. If you have like a 1 volt line that requires a lot of amperage, like something for the CPU might pull 100 amps at 1 volt, something like that. So you need that low resistance to ground. Something like backlight, 58 ohms is way too low. So we need to find out why that is and solve it. Now I hope this is just going to be a visual case, a quick and easy visual repair. I don't really feel like injecting voltage and thermal imaging this, frankly, right now. I just want to see a crack in a capacitor, replace it, and be done. I'm going to show you guys what to look for. Rob Brown is here and Yusuf is here. Hope both of you guys are well. Someone has worked on this before. I could tell that the screen has been removed. Hopefully they just tried a different screen and that there's not going to be any board work, because I really don't feel like dealing with someone's mess right now. I think we're almost done. We have 2 screws left. I wish the 1708 would come back. I mean, this would be perfect in this case. Have the form factor of the 1708, like the 13-inch, like they have now with the M1. A removable NVMe M2 drive, not a proprietary drive, and just a simple NVMe M2 with the M1 or not M1, M2. That would be a good computer. But replaceable, removable storage. We don't want the proprietary nonsense. It's not good when it fails. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's hope that we can just see this visually, because I don't feel like injecting voltage or anything. I mean, I will if I have to, but if I don't, then I don't want to. So very typically, you'll see a crack. It'll be pretty obvious. When you see it, it will be obvious, but yeah, none of these. None of these fit that description very well. But there is a clue. And I think it's this one. Because I see a flake. I see a little ceramic flake right here. See that? That could be nothing, or it could be ceramic flakes off the capacitor. Anyway, no visual signs, so let's see. Yeah, it's always on the, well, a lot of times it's on the bottom, which really is not nice, but whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and inject some voltage to this coil right here. Well, you should only need a little bit of voltage here. Just gonna do 1 volt and see what happens. And my little wire broke off, so that means I have to get a new wire. Or just use this one. Solder this real fast. A bit of flux. Not just any flux, the flux that's made in this office. Works just about as good as Amtech with none of the legal drama that comes around with using an Amtech product on stream. So yeah, they basically accused us of being a distributor of counterfeit products, when the funny thing is I've never distributed Amtech products. Well, I've never distributed anything other than Inventec products. There was one time in like 2019 where I bought some Inventec Amtech NC560 as a trial and sold it, and that was the only time I've ever sold any products made by them. And yeah, never counterfeit products yet. I got pinned as a distributor of counterfeit products. So yeah, that was my motivation for, I have thermal paste, the ability to make thermal paste here. And making flux, I could use all that equipment for thermal paste manufacturers easily carried over. So, yeah, why not? Just preparing my wire real fast to solder onto the board. Come on. This Hacko iron that I have has not been doing well. It really needs to be replaced. I have replaced the iron and the tips, and it's the base station that's failing. Whatever. See, look how nice that flowed in there. Beautiful. I don't want that touching the MOSFET. I usually go with a smaller wire than this, but this will do for now. Alright, now we're not pulling any amperage at 1 volt. Oh, look at that. It's even boiling. It's boiling the flux. Now we gotta figure out which one this is. Pretty sure I could see which one it is, but A little alcohol. See the crack now? It expanded a little bit. You can see that crack right there. It's hard to see on camera, but you can see it oozing right there. Runs right along the capacitor. Anyway, that's what our problem is. Let's go ahead and remove our wire, clean this up. It's good. And a donor. Pull a random capacitor, backlight off. Doesn't matter what donor, they're all the same. Pretty much anything 2015 and up, even older than that, they're all the same stuff. Yeah, this is an 820-00840. This new flux blend smells so pleasant too. It smells kind of like you just opened an orange. It's a really nice orange smell. And it removes oxides so well. See that little bit of oxidation on the cap? Look at that. It just washes it right away. Not all fluxes do that. And it is completely a no clean flux. Could leave it on the board, it will not harm anything. Let's clean up a little bit. No need to ultrasonic this. Q-tip and alcohol is more than fine. Well, it should be clean. But yeah, that's will not harm a darn thing in the world. Nice clean board repair. Should be done. We just need to test it. A little bit on this side. Clean my bench where there's a little bit of flux. So you guys see how that flux worked. I'm pretty sure anybody that's soldered can tell that it works very decently. So here's a tube of 559. I'm not going to show the label, okay, because I don't want another cease and desist letter over something. But here is, okay, this is, I'm not even going to say it's 559. This is flux from a big company that makes flux that everybody knows. Anyway, covering the label. Here's the coloration of 559, and here's ours right here. So I'm not going to disclose how much rosin is in this, but it is a lot, and it is completely non-conductive. It is one thing that would be interesting. I want to do a comparison between brand A, let's call it brand A, and our flux. So brand A is right here. We're going to do a line. Okay, this is brand A. And this is ours. Okay, much clearer. Resistance as far as being able to be left on the board. So I don't know how I can possibly, can I split screen this? Can you guys see this here? Okay, you can see the meter. Yeah, you can see the meter, you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is resistance. Let's make sure it's in resistance, not tone. No, that's continuity. This is resistance. Okay, so brand A. 27, 28 milliohms, 30 milliohms, whatever. That's not terrible. You know, that's not going to short anything. Let's see what ours is. Now, I've never tested this blend, so I could be totally blown away. Oh, look at that. OL. 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 Huh. I wonder how we came up with that. I'm not going to tell you our secrets. But this is a true no clean flux. I would feel completely confident leaving this plastered on a board and having it never come back. So I will say this, there is an additive in it that prevents electrical conduct and corrosion. So it's going to be really good when it's released. I'm not going to release something subpar, and we're getting pretty close. Anyway, let's go ahead and, we don't need microscope anymore. I just noticed this. This has a screw. Again, it came from a repair shop, so of course it has a loose screw somewhere. Where did this even come from? I don't know. This is a display screw. So the flux, the formula is basically done. I'm going to say that much. And we just need to start production. But I don't know if I want to start production here or in the new office. So probably it's going to wait till the new office. There's our board. Who would like to see in the chat before, because I'm gonna look at one more tonight. But does anyone want to see any further demonstration of that flux before we move on? I'm just curious. I don't want to waste my time on something if people don't want to see it, but if people want to see a little more after seeing that, then I can show a little more. see. I'm just going to put this back together real fast. High temp paneling would be interesting. Okay, we can do that. Just putting this together quickly. Should honestly probably test it first, but I'm confident enough I know it's going to work. Actually, we can just see more in the next repair. That's a better idea than wasting flux and time. We could just move on to our next job and take care of it and demonstrate it there. So there's two types of brand A that you can buy. I'm not going to get into it. But there's two types. One probably is not genuine. I don't know what's going on legally, so I'm just going to say probably not because I frankly don't know. I don't know who to believe in this instance. But I can demonstrate both. If you've used both, you can figure it out from how the formulation looks on the board. But whatever. Like I said, I'm not going to disclose anything. I'm not going to endorse, and I cannot say this enough. I am not endorsing either brand A's or whoever makes whatever, any of their products. I'm only endorsing my own. So I don't, if anyone's watching this, any attorneys are watching this, I'm not endorsing anything. And I'm not necessarily condemning anything either. Just a comparison. Almost done with this. A couple more screws. I will be doing a video in more detail with Lewis in the coming days about what's going on with that situation. So if you do want to know more, you can find out more in that video. But that's in the works as well. And that's where this missing screw came from. The stray hinge screw. Where'd it go? I just saw it here. It's just on my desk. There was a hinge screw floating around. If not, whatever. I'm just going to grab a spare. No time to wait or waste. This is not the right one. It bothers me whenever something in plain sight disappears like that. Because I know it was just here. I remember seeing it, and now it's not here. Oh well. I don't like leaving stuff or letting stuff go with missing screws. That gets a new hinge screw. And that's it. These guys are missing screws too. Which neither of these are proper screws. We need the little domed. There's one. So sometimes we know the thing is we do a very good job of making sure every device leaves. With every screw installed, we put anytime there's missing, we'll put spares in. Yet somehow you end up with all these spare screws. I don't know. It's just something that seems to happen. Need two more. Here's one more. That's a Phillips. That's not the right one. Oh, well, you know what? One gets each. It was missing screws when it came here. Just this little plastic shield. At least it has one of the right screw on each side versus one of the wrong screw on each side, like it came here. There's that. That's good. Everything's plugged in. Looks secure. Battery. And here's that hinge screw. I just looked under there and it just popped up. Imagine that. Oh well. Battery cable needs to be reseated. It's not pushed in all the way. There's that. That's that. Let's plug it in. It's way more exciting when you have leftover things on your car. Oh yeah, I know that. I know that all too well. And as you can see, that's a working display. This is fixed. Yeah, I once left like half of my sockets under the hood, and they stayed there, which was interesting. So this just has to get plugged in and booted into the stress testing, and then we'll move on to our next repair. This is the wrong screw. Okay. Donor board, donor board. Plug this in. And I need a USB dongle for this. So there should be one up here. Here it is. So as you guys can see from a distance, this is working. we hold Option. Actually, I'm just going to hold the power button down. Why is it whenever you say F it, the universe starts a 10-second timer and whatever you're looking for magically it's transported to your right? Isn't that crazy? That always seems to happen. No matter what it is, that always happens. By the way, don't buy a 14 or 16-inch M1 or M1 Pro or M1 Max MacBook Pro and spill anything on it, because if you spill anything on it, there's a very good chance that you're not only going to need a new screen, but you're also going to have a hole in your board from an internal short because the fuses are under-designed. Don't ask how we're finding that out. So yeah, that's a video in and of itself, but don't buy one of those and spill anything on it. If you want to buy it and use it, great. I think they're great machines. They have beautiful screens. But if you spill anything on it, then yeah, the chances of that being fixed are pretty low. Most of the ones we've had here have had either bad screens, and now this is all in addition to board repair. They've had bad screens and board failures or craters in the trackpad or PP bus area. Maybe the M2s will be better, the M2 Pro and M2 Max, but I doubt it. I think they're going to use the same board pretty much. And there's something, we are going to be working on a heatsink design for the M2 Air, because that's something that's likely going to be the M3 and M4, whatever, is going to use that same form factor. So I'm working on that. That's a side project, but it would be a drop-in, remove the shield, add thermal paste, stick the thermal adhesive on, whatever. Easy stuff to do. Alright, we have an 82141. Does not turn on. Let's see what we have here. Five volt 003, 20 volts 07, pulse to 40, cycling between 45, 50, 61. $79, this is in recovery. Alright, this needs to charge, so I'm just going to kind of set this at the front for now. Actually, I could just start this in stress testing in the front. So I'll be right back, because we need the Mac Mini to do DFU stuff. So chances are, if it's in recovery, a DFU revive has been attempted on it, which is not a good thing, honestly. but we'll get into it and we'll see if we can fix it. All right, that's just charging. And yep, I knew it. It's in recovery. So the very first thing we do is we just try it again, because we don't know the state of the whoever did it, their device, their USB cable, whatever. So we're going to do actions, advanced, revive device. We're going to see downloading system. I recognize you, Jim. I'm sorry, I haven't been just paying too much attention to chat. I've just been glancing at it. Alright, installing system. It just switched over to DFU mode, and it's probably going to fail. Let's see what happens. It's freezing in here. Alright. Oh boy, okay, this one's a fun one. Missing data volume. So this either means one of two things, and in either case, there is no data going to be recovered from this. No matter what you do, no matter what you try, data is gone. So most likely there was a formatting error during the first DFU revive. We need to do a restore now. Could be just that, or it could have somehow lost voltage to its SSD because of an issue. So I want to try a restore, see what a restore does. Missing data volume, that's not a good thing at all. It could even be a dead SSD. But we're going to see. So we're going to unplug it, reboot, plug it back in. There we go. And now we're going to try a restore, and then we're going to get into the board. So at this point, I know for a fact there is no getting data back from this in this state. So I'm jumping right to a restore. I've seen this enough times. No data. It's gone. If you leave it on state, you either have no data, no board, or board, no data. So what can you do? Luis, this is indeed yours. You caught us at a good time. I did see your message just as I was pulling this out of the slot, actually. So, yeah, you can watch in real time. Okay, so we do have an Apple logo. That is a good sign. If we have an Apple logo, this means our T2 is good. This means our SSD is good. It means our CPU is good. So this is a good sign. And, okay, we just errored out again. That's a weird error. Okay. Very well. Let's go ahead and pull the board out and have a look at this whole thing. So usually when you get an Apple logo, that tells us that most everything is working on the board. It really depends on it's really depending on what we find. You can have enclosure issues like that sometimes. Sometimes it's a bad trackpad, sometimes it's a bad screen. It's really hard to say. And the board is pretty clean, just at the first glance. So I'm going to go ahead and get this board pulled. We'll go from here. Twenty-one 41s are one of my least favorite things to disassemble. There are so many screws. It's probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is my least favorite device to disassemble. I'd even prefer the new 6, no, I don't know. Maybe this has to be tied with the new 16-inch, or the new 14-inch. The new 14-inch is harder to assemble than the 16-inch. There's just so many screws, and every time you think you're getting close, you look and there's like 10 more. Shield just fell. We'll get that later. Not a biggie. That's why we stock USB shields. Million different connectors. Okay, so not much to see. Let me just reply this one first. Okay, so first step is a visual. So let's go ahead and do that. Microscope on. Let's look. So something is causing this to stop during the process. Something related to the storage devices. So I want to look for anything obvious around the storage devices. And I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary. Sometimes you can get little bits of corrosion under ocarina. That's what this PMIC right here is called, and that will cause issues like that. Now, there is some residue around our PMIC right here. Okay. So this, though, it doesn't look corroded or anything like that. What this basically tells us, though, the device was in contact with liquid, most likely. This almost looks like flux from the factory, almost. See how it has that same residue compared to, like, between these? But this PMIC can definitely cause issues. It's adhesive. Let's look that up. So this is an 820-01700. The 01700 is out of a 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. And this little chip right here is, where are you? This little guy is something called the secure element. And what this does is, who knows what? Something to do with the T2. That's what the chip does, but is that resistor related? I don't know. But what is related to possibly our issue is this resistor being knocked off. SPI trackpad meso R, SPI trackpad meso. So here's the thing. DFU needs to communicate with everything in order for it to work properly. So if something is off where it can't talk. Now, SPI meso, that's a communication line. That's a data line. If something is off where it cannot communicate, then you will fail DFU because it needs this. And I've personally seen, I believe I said this in the beginning of the video, this can be the trackpad. I've seen trackpads do it where it will show the Apple logo and then it will fail. And I would be suspecting that this is what is wrong with it, this knocked off resistor. But let's go ahead and see. So I am going to put a little solder on there. And now we're going to look at what value this is. We're going to get probably a 10K. 20 ohm. Interesting. Okay. Let's get a replacement. So this board will be getting an ultrasonic bath regardless, because of the stuff near the PMIC. I'm fairly certain that was just flux residue, but it did have some signs of liquid, so we will give this a bath. There's that. And I'll put a little flux on the PMIC too. I don't think it needs it, but it won't hurt it to give it a little reflow and clean any corrosion that might be lurking under it. this cool. We're going to put it back in the enclosure, and we're going to try this again. Like I said, so we'll be getting ultrasonic baths, so we don't have to worry about putting all the screws in or anything like that. So just going to get set in here with everything connected. I'd be fairly certain this is going to work, honestly. We'll have to do the DFU revive again, or the restore again, but it will work. So my guess is what happened. The initial error was data volume is missing. So what that means, the restore was attempted previously. It erased the SSD. It couldn't finish the whole process, so it wasn't able to reflash the partition map or anything like that because it failed because it couldn't communicate to the trackpad. So that's my guess to what happened. Screen. I don't need Wi-Fi antennas. Battery, yes. And this will need a new little clip for the battery connector as well, so we'll take care of that too. Because they like to have issues when the clips are off. Actually, I will plug in the antennas just so I can shut the lid without worry of shorting anything. Even though it just touched ground and nothing would happen other than a little spark, I don't want to have the restore process fail again and me get trolled because the Wi-Fi antenna is resting on something. Alright, stop, cancel, recovery, actions, restore, restore. Wait and see. Yeah, liquid metal in the consoles or anything is cancer. People ask me, when are you gonna have liquid metal available? When are you gonna make liquid metal? The answer is never, because you don't need liquid metal for one. Two, it's dangerous. There's better things. You don't need liquid metal. If you want better performance than what thermal paste you have, the base Alumachill, not even the Pro variant that's coming out, outperforms pretty much anything out there currently. So the one compound that will beat it that I've tested so far is the new MX6. Will beat the base Alumachill. NTH1, NTH2, all of those, no match. Arctic Silver 5, definitely not a match. Alumachill crushes Arctic Silver 5. Alright, so we have an Apple logo. Just gotta wait and see if it boots. What we are working on is some type of phase change thermal compound that basically what happens is you apply it. It's like a thermal paste. It's it's a thin like a thermal paste, and then it has a material in it that evaporates when it gets hot, and then it becomes like a thermal pad with higher thermal conductivity. So we're working on that. Again, I'm going to tell you this. I don't release products unless they are good, unless they are meet my expectations. So we're not there yet with that product. But for right now, the base Alumachill is excellent. We have zero issues. We have had returns on MX4 saying, oh, my device is running too hot because it is too thin. It is very thin. But on the Alumachill, no thermal related complaints at all. Yeah, you don't need liquid metal. Use a good quality thermal paste, and you will be fine. We really should charge more for Alumachill than what we charge. It's a pretty darn good deal for what you get. Ultrasonic, oh no, it's not. Okay, so as you see that lock icon there, it did successfully restore view. You will almost always not have posting or anything like that. So what you need to do, unplug it from your base Mac, hold the power button down, plug it back in, and wait for it to boot. And what you're going to see is it's going to start to a flashing question mark folder. And then what we're going to do is try and install the OS. If it has an activation lock, then it is going to go back to Luis in the chat, and he's going to install an OS on it when he gets the activation lock info. But other than that, it is pretty much done. Sometimes they do want the battery unplugged or battery plugged back. No, there we go. Okay, so that's an Apple logo. So it's going to start to a flashing question mark. Yep, as you see here. So it did properly format the SSD. It is working. I do have caps lock light, so the keyboard is working now. So what I'm going to do is go into recovery, Command Option R, and then we're going to wait for this. I'm going to attempt to install the OS. Okay. Wait. Keyboard is working, and this will get a bath tomorrow. It's not going to get a bath tonight, because it's, what time is it? 7:55, and I have to go take care of a pug. Pugs do not like to be left alone, especially old pugs, so you can't leave the pug alone for too long. Will not be happy. Should be clean, no lock. Perfect. So when I moved into this office 5 years ago, it took like 3 months to get functional internet here, because there's the AT&T Uverse DSL to the building. and there's also AT&T fiber to the building, and they did not have enough spare fiber lines, so they could not give me fiber service. So I said, well, give me UVerse for now until you run more fiber. Oh, we can't do that because there's fiber to the building. It's against our policy. So I had to be on a T-Mobile mobile hotspot for 2 months, and that mobile hotspot for most of the time was under 1 megabit. It's terrible. So Monday, Frontier is coming to the new shop to hook up gigabit fiber. They up to 2 gigabit there, and 2 gigabit is $159 a month, which is fine. But I don't see myself using more than 1 gig. 1 gig is very fast for me, so that's what I have here. So that's booting into recovery. Not much we can do. All right, so I just got a question. Can I replace current sense resistors with a wire? They keep blowing on me and I don't know why. The answer is no. You cannot replace current sense resistors with a wire. The reason why they're blowing is because you're exceeding the current limit they're rated for because you have a short to ground. This is common on current sensing resistors in the IS, particularly the battery charge controller circuit of devices, where these resistors will just blow, and that's almost always a result of a short within the chip. So ISL 9240s, ISL 9239s, ISL 6259, ISL 6258, all of those will oftentimes blow the current sense resistors when they have an internal short. So if you keep blowing current sense resistors, replace the chip, replace the resistors, you should be good to go. It should not blow after that. But never replace current sensing resistors with wires. The whole purpose of a current sensing resistor is for there to be some voltage drop across that resistor so it can measure current. If you use a wire, that's not going to happen. So now we just wait, which is boring. Wait a second, you guys don't even need to see this. Why do you guys need to see that this boots into recovery? You see it's working. It's a working machine. So I don't even know why I'm still streaming right now, because we fixed it. We just need to install an OS on it. So no one wants to see that. And let alone just wait 5 minutes. Paul is here. How's it going, Paul? This is a great time for flux demonstration while we're waiting. Let me grab a random donor board and let's demonstrate. So that's fine. I want to find the particular tube I'm looking for. Alright, Inventec Performance Chemicals, this is the one. I'm trying to see if I have a fresher tube though. Here we go. Yeah, it's a couple months. It's expired in November, whatever. That doesn't affect it. In the official video, we will have current, but just to show. This is the genuine stuff. I know I said I wasn't going to show it, but whatever. Focus. Ventec Performance Chemicals, whatever, it expired in November. I've never had expired flux cause an issue, and it's certainly not going to cause an issue in this test. Anyway, what we're going to do, want something, okay, this is perfect. T. Williams says, holy crap, didn't expect to hear you're moving to Marietta. That's my hometown. It's a really nice area. I really like it over there. Okay, so This is the genuine Amtech NC559V2. And what we're going to do, we're going to switch our tip to the BC2. We're going to max our heat to 840 on the iron. So I'm going to put a line of it down the center. About like that. And what I'm going to do also, the same Amtech NC559V2. I'm going to put in a line right here on my silicone mat, just like so. You know, you do notice this is clearer than the first one we tested. It is a different formula, it appears. Anyway. We're going to do a resistance test. Anyone see that? Yeah. All right, 26 mega ohms right there. Okay, 26 mega ohms. T. Williams, there is an Apple store that's going to be 2 miles away. Foot traffic for being a specialist isn't really going to get me much because I don't really like to do general stuff. But being the fact there's an Apple store 2 miles away will be good. So we're going to switch to our BC2 tip, and our iron will be set at 840 degrees Celsius. That's the highest it goes. And we're not going to we're just going to use the solder balls that are on those NAND pads. $840. And when you hear the beep, it's at temperature. I'm going to make sure the tip is clean before the test. We're at 650. Tip is nice and clean. Okay. You heard the beep. Whole goal of this is to see how it handles the heat, how it darkens. All flux does darken somewhat. Now keep in mind the revision of ours that you're going to see, that is not a final revision. Okay, now it's starting to significantly blacken. See that? So we're going to conclude this. It's turning black. Alright, it turned black. See that? It burned, it turned black. So you can time that. Now on the direct other side of the board, we'll test ours. We're going to see if it has the same result or what happens. So right here in the same general area, I'm going to do a line of ours, and I'm going to do a line on the mat as well. Now keep in mind this is melting because the board is hot because we just tested on the back of it. So there's ours, and do a line on the board here, just like that. Just like we did. Yeah, it's basically at the border of Temecula. Temecula is a really nice area. So I'm going to make sure my tip, or my whatever you call these, test. My brain is, I'm fried, I'm tired. Multimeter leads are clean, because we don't want any of the 559 remaining over. And oh well, zero conductivity compared to the genuine Amtech. Even if we get really close, there's no conductivity. It's ours is a true no clean. Will not cause voltage leakage, will not cause issue if it's left on. Anyway, this one over here you can see it's in recovery, and let's just connect to Wi-Fi. Okay, including, we need to do this now. Disk utility, let me just finish this real fast and we'll move on to this. T. Williams, I think there'll be plenty because remember, it's a destination-based business. People don't just walk around and look for board repair places. They look for places when they need board repair. So you're not going to just get people that are walking in saying, "Oh, I need my MacBook board fixed." No, you're going to get people that get a hugely high quote at the Apple Store that will start searching for other options. And in that case, they'll search on Google and be able to be found like that way. It's very much a destination-based business. It's not something that you need a retail store for data recovery and board repair like that. At least in my opinion, what I found. What I found is people's first stop is always the Apple Store, and then they seek out third-party options, and they don't just drive around. They look for it online. So as long as you have a strong online presence, you'll do just fine. All right, cleaning my tip. You can see the tip is now clean. Okay, and we're going to test ours. So one thing is ours smells like citrus peel, and the Amtech kind of smells like chemical. Now, I do have to say this is not the final revision. So this is still in production variant. There's some slight darkening, which is pretty normal. Like I said, every flux will darken. We're still at 840. It still has good fluxing ability. I mean, the joints still look good, and you can compare it to Amtech. Not on Google Galvani, not anymore. They restricted that. It's darkening, but it's not turning black. It's not burning yet. It's like an amber color, but it still seems pretty active. Like the joints still look good. So what's funny, Jim, is I thought about that in testing, adding eucalyptus oil. We went with a citrus oil derivative only because it's completely a base. It's not acidic or alkaline, and it has cleaning properties. So we went with a citrus oil as an additive versus eucalyptus oil. All right, it's starting to get slightly darker, I think, and it's burning off. But it's not turning black, I don't think. What do you guys think? I feel like this has went longer than the Amtech because it's starting to just burn off. Let's look at it from an angle. Let's see what it looks like. Because I feel like I went way longer on that than I did on the Amtech. So, yeah, it's a little bit darker, and then the Amtech on the other side is darker. Let's see. Have to look at timings on that, but I feel like this went longer than the Amtech. We could do another one. Let's do a test on. Let's time this actually. Let me do one more. Hang on. Let me find something to do this on. I want different board, I think. Yeah, here we go. I don't know yet, Galvani. It might be more expensive than Amtech. Okay, this is going to be NC559V2. We're going to set a timer for 1 full minute of heat. And we're going to see the condition of each flux after it's done. So this is 559V2. Let's set a timer. For 1 minute, it's fine. And clean tip. And go. The Amtech clearly has more fumes, I will say that much. See how it's not really wetting the pads as well? See how some of the pads are kind of... And time. I went a little longer than that. I think it didn't beep. But, so we'll do a little longer than a minute. There you have it. That is the Amtech. Get an angle. Is that really well? Okay. Gotta clean this a little bit. Can someone in chat do me a favor? Can you look back and see how long the Amtech test actually ran for? Because I feel like it went a little bit over a minute. So if someone can do that, I would be greatly appreciative. I'll just set ours for 1 minute, 1 minute 20 seconds, just to keep it fair, even though it'll be a little bit biased in Amtech's favor. All right, so line of ours is going on. And 1 minute 20 seconds, clean tip. And starting now. See how the difference in the pads look compared to the Amtech? This seems like it is flowing much better. About the minute mark right here. 20 seconds to go. It's remaining active through this entire time. And we'll test cleanup too. 9 seconds, 8 seconds. 5, 2, 1, 0. Done. All right, and let's look at it at an angle. All right, that's ours right there. And the Amtech right there. So let's test cleanup. Well, the Amtech is cold, so we'll try this one first. What we're going to do is just in a circular pattern, one time with alcohol. Let's make sure everyone can see this. Let's give it a little swirl. Could see there's still some residue under it that's being a little bit hard to clean. But it's starting to come up. We're just going to keep going until all that residue is removed. Looks about good. We'll chase it with a dry one. See the difference in wetting? See how those pads look? See that? Okay. And now cleaning ours. Same thing, alcohol in a circular pattern. This seems it does seem more sticky because there is more rosin in this. Again, this is still a work in progress. It is coming up. And all the rosin is fully dissolved. So even though it seems stickier at first, the residue is all gone already. So that did, even though it seemed harder and seemed like there was more residue, that did take significantly less time to clean. And the pads look. It was harder to clean initially, but overall it took less time to clean than the Amtech. So it was less, it seemed more soluble from the alcohol. Anyway, this is definitely one of the release candidates, this particular formula. We still need more testing on it, but this is very well maybe what gets released. We'll see. But anyway, that's it for today, and I will see you in the next stream. I don't know when that'll be. Hopefully it'll be at the Marietta office. I don't know how much longer we're going to be doing stuff here. But that's it for this one. I will see you in the next one.